Good morning, and today is going to be 8-6 of clubs. We are in early position. We are 8-handed at this point. I'm going to note this is I'm going to be folding this, but if there's ever a time you're looking just to bluff, is you sense a bunch of people, they're just overly tight, or you've sensed that you've been overly tight. A hand like this works pretty well. 8-6, 8-5, 9-7, 9-6. Middle hands, they're kind of crap, but they're suited. They have straight potential. If you get raised, easy fold. You don't even have to think about it. You're not going to be at a tough decision. Oh, should I call? Should I just fold this? They're junk. Just fold if you get raised. But at the same time, you're raising it as a bluff. So you raise it. If the flop comes like an ace or a king, you can c-bet that. And a lot of times, unless the player has an ace or a king themselves, they're going to fold. If it comes middle cards, then you've connected in some way. You've connected with a pair, some sort of straight draw, gut shot, open ender, maybe backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. There's an okay chance that you might have some ability to continue with the hand. So just gonna know, I fold it. I'm not gonna bluff it, and you definitely don't do it all the time. I mean, if you start doing it all the time, your raise pre-flop frequency or your VPIP in early position is gonna shoot way up. So this is just, I saw this hand. Just made me thought sometimes you do throw in some bluffs just to kind of mess around. And I'll do this in a live game too. Live game, I think players are much more aware of how often you play. Now, you're not getting as many hands, but if you sit there for an hour and you never play a hand and you just keep folding, then, this is one of these hands where you could easily just go ahead and raise just to kind of get in there. People are going to see it. It's like, oh my gosh, she's raising. And then they'll either all fold, or you might get somebody that calls with a weak hand, thinking, well, I'm just going to call because if it's low cards, I'll take advantage of it. Well, what happens if the flop comes 8-6, or if the flop comes 7-5-4? You're going to c-bet that. They're going to raise because they think you got crap. And then I would probably re-raise at that point. I don't think I would just call. He's making a play. If he actually has some hand, he's going to call your raise. And then what you could probably do, if it's if it's a low card or a high card, you could just kind of check, and then depending on who it is, they could probably come over the top, or they'll bet, and then you and hopefully take a stack. But again, you're not doing that all the time. It's just a bluff. All right, so on this hand, I fold, button raises 2.5. So small blind calls, and that's it. So button's playing 18-14. We've got an attempt to steal 42%. We can see in the button, raise first in 36%, cutoffs, raise first in 46%. So we're at least in the upper 30s, more than likely. So this is 37%. Might be a little too tight. That's 36%. I'm leaving the king 9 in because I think it probably belongs in there. I'm probably missing something. We'll throw in 10-7, 9-6. That only adds it up to 838, but I think that's going to be okay. It's a wide range. This player's playing 16-9. Not many hands. Small blind, 3 out of 12. That's what he's played. Raise first in, 2 out of 2. We reviewed one of these hands, so this is the first time that he's called, and he does have a note on here about calling. So this was a guy that raised first in, blind versus blind, with a Jack 10 offsuit. I don't know if you remember that hand. That's a few hands back, so you can watch that. But I've already seen what it is, but we have to put together some sort of calling range. We know he raised first in with Jack 10. His stats overall look like it's pretty tight. I think this is probably a pretty tight range at 11%. I think this could be a calling range. I'm not entirely sure if he has those. Or like the ace jack, but I think it's typical to kind of be very heavy with your pocket pairs, and then your suited Broadway. And occasionally you'll get the suited connectors being called. We'll include them because we don't really know yet. My guess is this is going to be the hand that I have in the notes. So we see a flop, comes down king 6-4. So going back with our 8-6, we raise and we get called. I think we can bet this. Again, we're just betting as a bluff. We're not betting for. We've got a pair. If we get called, we're probably gonna have to shut down with it with our middle pair unless we improve. And I think that would be an 8, a 7, a 6, a 5. If we get one of those, then I think we could continue again. Of course, if we bet and he calls, I'm kind of thinking he's on more of a diamond draw. Could be a king because we don't have it, but possibly more likely a diamond draw because aces, kings, ace, king probably would raise us. All right, so flop comes down, villain 7 checks, villain 6 checks. He's got 100%. I expect him to check. This guy checks behind. So at this point, maybe there's a flush. Maybe he's slow playing a flush. If he's slow playing a flush, it would be the nut flush. That's the only flush that I see slow playing. So we've got that in there. I don't think he's bet. I don't think he would check a set, a 2 pair, over pair, top pair. I think these pocket pair less than the top cards are definitely checks. His C bet, I mean, it's pretty high, but and this does look like it's a pretty good C bet. So yeah, maybe he would bet. I mean, this just seems like it's a pretty good C bet spot. He's in position 4 out of 8, so yeah. I mean, this looks like a pretty good C bet spot. This is 75%. Let's X out these flush draws. Okay, so 50%. I guess that's okay. So no flush draws, just kind of junk. We're going to X out the open ender and the gut shot. So we're at 48%. So his range just got super weak. I think he could have C bet. C bet bluff. No problem with it with this hand with the king. If he gets called, he's done with it. I think that's what I would do for exploitative play. Queen of Diamonds comes out. They both check again. I think he could easily have the flush. And I think he probably maintains everything. So now that the flush gets there, I think any of these other hands that he may have had sets 2 pair, 1 pair are going to get scared. That's just kind of how they are. They don't want to bet, get raised, and then be faced with a difficult decision. I think this is a great card. Once it goes check check, this is a great card to go ahead and fire and try to represent that diamond. What about this guy? So nut flush, I think he would probably bet a little still. I'm going to scale it because maybe he's going to slow play again. But really, I don't think so. Whoops. All right, we got to go back. I didn't realize it did. King 4, it's 6 of hearts. So we're going to have to go back to here. King 6-4. No made hand. Flush draw. That's better. Pocket pair less than the top card. Flush draw, open ender. Okay, this is looking a little bit better. 71.6%. That just still seems like he should be betting. Like he like. All right, we'll use that. We'll say that's his checking range, and then the queen of diamonds connects. All right, so I do think he could have a set. I think he probably has all of those. I think, though, the nut flush draw is probably out. On this board, I kind of think the ace of diamonds is probably betting. Probably also the second nut. Yeah, we're just going to X that out. X that out. Third nut, I guess, could check. We'll leave those in. And of course, flush, or the straight draw. All right, so we've got that now. Jack of spades. Now the board's getting scary. Now he just went check, 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 check. I think you'd have to bet for value, really. Villain 7 checks. Yeah, I think the flush. I don't think the nut flush is checking. I really don't. I don't think the second nut flush is checking. I think the straight could be checking sets. I mean, really, it doesn't. This guy, we didn't really narrow his range much. He's got basically everything that we started with, which is unfortunate. But this guy did check, and I think he does. It's still a big range, but it's overly weak. And we could kind of narrow it down and say, wow, the value. We'll use the weak. This 35% is weak. This guy, whoops, over 50%. They're both pretty weak. You do have some of these middle pairs, but we're gonna see it. So he shows queen 9 of hearts. I do think we have that middle pair, queen 9. There we go. And he shows 10, and I'm going to show you that's exactly what I had. Called two bets from the blinds, range 10s. We had that. So I think the 10s are interesting, and the way the hand plays out. I think queen 9 should have bet. I think he should just fire the C bet. I think he fires a C bet. I think 10s fold. And you don't have to sweat. I think queen 9 got lucky with the queen, but and I'd say the reason he could bet is he's got a backdoor flush draw. Backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. 10s, when it goes check check, I think 10s could be betting. And I probably would bet because I'm playing more exploitative to attack. I bet he calls. And then I'm probably going to be done with my 10s. Gonna check. He's gonna show his queens. I lose. I mean, it is what it is. I would kind of expect him to call with like the diamonds, like a lone diamond, so offsuit with like the ace of diamonds. Offsuit cards with, jack of diamonds or 10 of diamonds or 9 of diamonds or whatever. I kind of expect him to call with the draw. Kind of expect him to call with a queen. I don't really expect him to call with a 4 or 6. I mean, but he could. Could be calling with jack 10 with 10-9, ace jack, ace 10. I could see him calling with probably ace 9. Ace jack, ace 10. They would call, and then on this board I'm just checking. So I think let's just see what GTO would say with these ranges. Kind of a little bit curious about the c-bet ranges. So we're gonna get these in position play. Yeah, we're just gonna have to leave the ranges, even though we can see what they have. This doesn't really help us. Doesn't really help us much. So this is king for 6 of hearts. I actually have the 6 of hearts here. Go back to the flop. Pot 6. Effective stacks. We'll do 96. Advance, we'll set it up as 50% pot. It's typical. Build the tree. Okay. We're going to import the tree, and what we're going to do is remove that bet option from him, since he doesn't look like, I don't expect him to be donking, at least on the very first action. So we're going to run the solver and be back. All right, we're back. Not too long. So we programmed the check there. Let's see the bet. Bet's actually only 38%. So GTO's really favoring a lot of checks. We saw the queen 9. It's going to be mixed, it looks like. So set, 2 pair, over pair, those are all bets. Top pair, now you start betting your better ones and checking the weaker kickers. King 3 of hearts. If you're going to bet, you can bet some of these, yeah, kind of backdoor, which is kind of what I was thinking with like the queen 9 as well. Yeah, queen jack, queen 10, queen 9. These are all like backdoor straight, backdoor flush draws. He's betting the flushes, most of them. So 72 to 28. So his check's okay. And again, GTO isn't going to be betting 100% because we've got a lot of hands that miss this board. And we also know that villain's going to connect with that king. He in his range, he has kings, or he can have king, a king. We can go back to the flop here, so you can kind of see, top pair is 13% out of his in all of his hands that he has. Of course, pocket pair, jacks to 7s are going to be most of the hands that he has, but, or at least the value hands. So villain said, or GTO said to check, which we did. Let's get to this. Queen of diamonds comes out, and now this is kind of where it was check. Now we can see small blind betting. Small blind has 10s, so if he had a 10 of diamonds, it looks like he's betting 60-40. So bet 60, check 40. He's being aggressive with mostly betting with his flushes, with his nut flush, and then the other diamonds are sometimes betting, sometimes checking. I think it's checks. You're kind of using the weaker hands. The weaker the diamond, more likely you are to check. I bet you're going to probably check call with those. Yep, you are. But we're going to include some decent hands in our checking range. You could see it with the flush. The weaker the diamond, the more likely we are to check. He's still betting top pair. Still wants to bet top pair. Still betting middle pair, but you're betting those middle pairs. Mostly betting those, almost always betting those middle pairs with the ace of diamonds, and then you're mostly checking with those. But again, I think villain had an opportunity here to bet the small blind bet. Now, if he bets, queen 9's going to call. He should be calling. And if he bets then and gets called, then I kind of think he's going to be checking at this point. So yeah, at the 10s he's checking. And then my guess is the queen's going to check behind. I didn't think he was going to bet. So, we're kind of on board. I think the only thing was this pre-flop play, this check. I guess if I start running the numbers, looking at value versus bluff, I'm going to probably see that, yeah, it's probably not going to be betting, most of the time. We're going to be checking most of the time. just because we're not going to hit this super hard. We're going to have a lot of hands that missed. So because of that, it's going to be hard for us to get up to that high percentage and be properly balanced with a decent value range. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, you can look tomorrow for another hand.